As I sat in my nice sports car holding on to my new shiny platinum trophy for finishing off WRECKFEST on PS5, I looked out at the sun going down and I thought that this was a great time for me to reflect on the platinum journey of this game so far. As I'd come a long way in such a short time in order to get this fairly easy platinum trophy, and it was a game that really surprised me, to be honest. I loved Destruction Derby on the PS1 back in the day, and this was a really cool blast from the past, and the fact that it was free with Plus just made it even more awesome, as it's always fun when you get a game that you weren't expecting to be good, and it turns out to be awesome. However, if there was one bad point about the Platinum, it was the Garden Variety Trophy, which required you to drive a specific vehicle for 1 hour. So, which vehicle was it? Well, was it a nice, shiny, fast, super awesome sports car that you could just power around the track in? Nope, it wasn't that. That'd be too much fun. Okay, well, was it a big, bulking truck or big, sort of powerful, strong vehicle that you can use to just destroy any sort of opponent and plow through them like they were nothing? No. Again, that would be too much fun, I believe. Okay, well, maybe you'd think it would be the school bus. Again, it's a huge, powerful tank of a vehicle that can just destroy anything that dares cross its path. No, none of those at all. No, instead, the Garden Variety Trophy requires you to spend a total of 1 hour driving a lawnmower. Yep, a lawnmower.
Are you fucking kidding me? What? What the
Ugh, I hate cutting the grass in real life. My garden is an absolute mess, and I hated it even more when I had to do it in Bully for some of the side missions or whenever I got in trouble at school and it was a punishment. It just sucked. A lawnmower is just awful, and it was even worse in No More Heroes, having to do that for cash to go to the actual good parts of the game. And now, in this game, a game about destruction and big, strong vehicles smashing into each other, I've got to drive around in a fucking lawnmower. Are you kidding me? I don't stand an absolute chance. Oh, and admittedly, it is kind of fun the first time you get to use this vehicle, as it's kind of cool to just zip around in it. It's kind of almost like a little go-kart, but with this being a Destruction Derby type game, it's not long before you see a massive downside to using this vehicle. The vehicle is just so goddamn weak, and you will easily get wrecked with the slightest tap. And I realise that's the point. It is a novelty sort of joke vehicle along with the sofa car, which is actually awesome to use because it's a sofa car, for Christ's sake. But with the lawnmower, it's just a slow plodding little vehicle, and you just easily can get wrecked with the slightest of taps. It'll just send you flying, and if you go up a ramp with the lawnmower, you're pretty much done, because when you land, you're gonna get wrecked. But it is kind of fun to get wrecked with it, purely for the ragdoll physics when the guy just gets launched off. Because trust me, when he gets launched and goes headfirst through a fence and just flops his legs out, it is a very funny scene to see. And that's a good thing, really, because you will be dying and getting wrecked a lot if you use the lawnmower through the events in WRECKFEST. So get used to just seeing your dead body on the floor while all the other cars just drive around you or through you, which is usually the case, because you'll just still get pinged around. And it is funny, but yeah, it's not a vehicle that you really want to be spending too much time in, let alone a solid hour of using this thing. Ugh. The career mode, which is the meat and bones of the game, only has a handful of events that actually utilise the lawnmower. There's at least 2 in the very first set of challenges, and maybe another one a bit later on where you have to avoid the buzzes while driving a lawnmower, but other than that, you're not going to be spending too much time as you go through the career in the lawnmower. And the fact that the vehicle is just so slow and kind of boring to use, the novelty of it soon wears off, and you end up just getting a bit frustrated with just how dull this part of the game is, that you end up just crashing out just to end the race quicker than what it would take for you to actually do all the laps. Oh, God. as the career mode only has a handful of events for the lawnmower, you're probably only going to come out of it with around 10 to 15 minutes maximum of drive time using the lawnmower, so it kind of falls on you to create some custom events where you can set the track, the vehicle type and the amount of laps in order for you to specifically hunt for this trophy. But whatever you do, make sure that you put all of the AI opponents in the race as a lawnmower and not normal cars, because trust me, if you're the only lawnmower on the track, you are not gonna last long. So we're now in custom races with everyone using the lawnmower, and to be honest, that just makes it really kind of boring, because one or two things will happen. You'll either get wrecked right away, or all of the AI opponents will just get wrecked after a couple of laps, leaving you to just drive around what looks like a zombie apocalypse wasteland with everyone just being killed and a load of bodies on the floor. It's kind of creepy, and after that first initial bit of excitement with people getting destroyed, the race just becomes really boring and just a non-event. So it just makes this trophy where you have to drive for an hour just feel really dull, and it just goes against the sort of high octane and intense and dramatic action of the rest of the game, where you're hurtling at full speed into other cars and smacking them and sending them crashing into walls or spinning out, and you're going over jumps without a care in the world, and it's great, and it's really dramatic and it's exciting. And yet with these lawnmowers you can't really do any of that, because if you ram into another car, you're going to take massive damage and your vehicle will just be pretty much dead then, and you'll be going too slow for you to even be a competitor in the race. So it kind of just goes against the game using these, because you can't have the fun of ramming into people for long, because one or two hits and you're just gone straight away, because the lawnmowers are just so weak. So it just makes using this vehicle boring once that initial novelty of doing a lap in a lawnmower wears off. So the only real enjoyment you'll have is just seeing all the bodies on the floor and just watching them ragdoll as you drive over them. And I know that sounds a bit weird and creepy, but that's literally it, because you'll probably miss all of the crashes because all the other opponents are going to be behind you at that point. So by the time you come back round, you're just seeing all the wreckages, and you never actually really get to see all of the fun ragdolls as cars and bodies just fly around and get smashed. So it just becomes this sort of you on a track full of dead bodies driving around, just killing time until we reach the hour counter. And it's kind of just like, great, this is the most boring part of the game. This was literally the most boring part of the game, just going for this trophy. It just wasn't fun. That's the problem, it just wasn't fun. One of the things you can do to make this trophy less tedious is to tie it in with the trophy for getting wrecked 100 times. So you just want to go into one of the Destruction Derby Bowl arenas, use the lawnmower on yourself, but make all of the other drivers, the AI opponents, use normal cars, and then just keep wrecking yourself, because you'll probably be a long way off 100 by the time you complete the career. So you can kill a good 10 or 20 minutes or so going for that trophy, as well as getting time for using the actual lawnmower. For me, the Garden Variety Trophy was the only real stinker in the list, because it just wasn't fun to get. There were plenty of other cool trophies in the game: wrecking 100 opponents, getting wrecked yourself 100 times, driving a certain speed in one of the vehicles, using the buzz to destroy a load of vehicles, doing all the career events. It was all fun and I had an absolute blast, but this trophy just slowed things down a bit too much, and it just made it a boring task to sit in the lawnmower for a total of an hour, and it just wasn't really fun to use after the first couple of minutes, and it just felt like a bit of a trophy that was just a bit of a waste. It was kind of like a wasted opportunity to have had a better trophy than just sit in this vehicle for an hour when there's not really any major events for you to use this vehicle in, outside of just creating your own or replaying the one or two events from the career over and over again. But that's just not fun, and I want the trophies to be fun and exciting to unlock, and this one just wasn't. And yeah, it just wasn't fun. Add in the fact that the vehicle is really weak and it's quite slow to drive, it just makes the event boring, because you can't do the key selling point of the game, destroying other cars and having a blast ramming into things. So in the end, I just sort of sat there. I found a nice quiet spot on a track and just sat there and counted down the time until I unlocked the trophy, and well, That's no way to get a trophy, is it? So that just clearly shows that, to me, the Garden Variety Trophy kind of fails in an otherwise awesome list. So all that's left to do now is give the Garden Variety Trophy in WRECKFEST a bullshit trophy rating of...
Bullshit.